Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ben and Nate's questions that we ask people and massage therapists on the internet. I'm one half of your host, Nate Fay. I'm a licensed massage therapist. I'm an osteopathic manual practitioner. And when I'm not doing all this fun stuff with my good friend Ben Stone, I'm on the road teaching Dalton myoskeletal techniques.
Oh man, and I'm your co-host, Ben Stone. I've been doing massage for a long time, been doing a lot of things in the massage world, and one of the things I like to do the most is ask people questions on the internet, and then Nate and I get together and talk about it. And every time we get together, we start talking before we even record. And so I just kept telling Nate, we got to record this. We got to record this. Um, when I talk to people about this show and about what we do, I don't talk about how many people listen to us, how many people follow us. I talk about Nate and I sit down and we talk shop. It's kind of like, sitting around the water cooler and talking with your colleagues. And I haven't had that since I left my previous position. I haven't had the opportunity to be around people and talk about stuff like this. So when Nate and I get together, we just kind of, I don't know what to call it. We nerd out, we talk about the things that's, massage related, body work related, and we just have a blast. And before we know it, time has just flown by and we're like, "Oh, I got to go, man."
It's good, man, because, as a massage therapist, we're in the trenches, right? We're in our treatment room all week. The lights are dim. You've got your music going. You don't see the sunshine too much, and you certainly don't get to stand around the water cooler and talk about all this stuff. So anyway, that's why I love getting together with Ben basically every week and just talking about this stuff. And it's kind of like we're doing our own therapy here, Ben.
It is, and we just allow other people to kind of eavesdrop into our conversations. And I love that people send their comments and let us know what they're thinking about these things because we don't know everything. And I just like to share what we talk about and just get other people's opinions.
And you know something, Ben? I'm gonna make an egotistical observation right now. And my egotistical observation is that this is episode first of all, Ben and I lost count.
Yeah, we
I
did.
think it's 35. He thinks it's 36 or 37. But at the end of the day, when I post this on Spotify, I'll know what number we're on. So we're not even going to say what episode this is. You're just going to have to look at the headline on Spotify.
That's
But with
right.
that being said, Ben, we've been doing this for over a year and a half now, and I've noticed three other massage therapists in the past 6 months start their own podcasts. And I'm just going to say that I think that they were inspired by Ben and Nate. They haven't said that, but I'm just gonna throw that out there.
It's interesting. I love the opportunity to inspire people, and if people are inspired, that's cool. It's even more cool when they let you know. But beyond that, it's like you remember kind of early '90s. It was kind of like um, when you started something, you made a T-shirt about it. And then it was like, okay, you started something, you had a T-shirt, and then you had a website. And now we're into the 2020s, and it's like, all right, you got a website, a T-shirt, and a podcast.
Podcast. That's right. Anyway, here we are. So Ben, it's been a couple weeks. I've been tied up, man. I've been traveling here, there, and everywhere. So what's new in your world?
Yeah, I've been bugging Nate. I'm like, hey, Nate, you want to record? He's like, oh man, I'm on the road. I can't do it. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll have to wait for you. Um,
Sorry.
Not much has been new with me, just kind of moving along. I've been to a couple of continuing education workshops and just kind of doing the thing, splitting my learning between photography and massage therapy, and it's been great. Um, so what's been new
Yeah,
with you, Nate?
I gotta interrupt you there. By the
Yeah,
way, I observe your pictures on Facebook, and you posted one of a bird with its mouth open and the sort of fog coming, or the steam coming out of its mouth.
yeah,
And I don't know, man. Has National Geographic called you? I literally looked at that picture and I was like, it's like a National Geographic picture. Have they called you?
You know, I'll admit it. I was inspired by other photographers that I've seen that have taken that picture, and there's certain requirements that you need, just weather wise, in order to get a picture like that. And that was the first time I was able to capture it. And first time, like I want to practice that about 100 more times and get it like really dialed in before I reach out to National Geographic.
Yeah, that was a award-winning photograph, man.
Yeah.
If I had 25 grand sitting around, Ben, I would send it to you for that picture, but I
Well,
don't.
we do take Venmo for Ben. If anyone ever wants to buy Ben and Nate a cup of coffee or anything, we'll hit us up.
Yeah,
We'll tell you where to send the money.
that's right. Well, things have been good. I'm coming to the end of what I call my seminar season. I just got back from Canada this past weekend and had a really cool class at the Carden Factory, of course, not sponsored, but I'm a huge fan of their tables and their therapy equipment. And Mardig, the owner who's passing the torch to his daughter Lara, the founders of the company there, they are just incredible people. And they make therapy tables for everything from hospitals to for colleges, they're not just for massage therapists, and their factory is just state of the art, and they have two classrooms in their factory that teachers like us can go up and host a class. So I had a really good time. Of course, the best part about hosting a class there is they supply the tables for the participants. And I mean, how cool is it to be in a class where you've got this hydraulic table? It's like so magical.
That's amazing.
And even more amazing than that, Ben, it was actually warmer in Burlington, Ontario than it is in Somers, Connecticut. I woke up to snow on the ground. April 12th, 2025, I woke up to a layer of snow on the ground. And here we are. I think the birds and the squirrels are confused around here, as am I.
I'm a fan of snow. I don't like it when it sticks around too long, but that's just
Yeah.
me. I like the snow.
I'm a warm weather guy, man. I keep threatening I keep threatening Shauna with, the day that I win the lottery that there will be signs, and that sign will be that I'll send her a picture of Nate in a little cabana or something in Jamaica.
Yeah,
So
your own private island.
so Ben, we were talking this morning about we were talking about continuing education, and you had just gone and did some shadowing with a chiropractor, and I think that leads us in nicely to our topic this week, which is
Yeah, our topic. Before we get in too deep, but I want to make sure we follow kind of what we've been doing, and I have a question for you. This is a knock knock question.
all right.
So
Now, do I say the knock knock or do you?
I'll start it off. So
Okay.
knock knock.
Who's there?
I eat mop.
I eat mop.
Yeah, I gotta
Eat
remind
my
you.
food.
There you go.
Oh, I that was good.
There we go.
I
Nate,
forgot the hook part, man. It's been
yeah,
like
Nate
four.
forgot how knock knock jokes work. We might have to work on that in the future.
I, as the kids say, I just glitched.
Yeah.
I glitched.
I ran across that one, and I've been using it every other day on people. I just think it's just stupid and funny.
Well, when I see the teenage boys after we're done recording, I'm gonna drop that one on them.
Oh
So
yeah, they'll love it. Oh, all right. So we'll get into our question that we asked. This one was from a while back, but I think it got buried in our Facebook page, but we wanted to dig it back up and talk about it. So the question reads, how do you utilize other professionals for your clients and build that team? Referring your clients to chiros, PTs, orthopedics, etc. We want to hear from you. How was it developing these relationships and how have they benefited you?
Yeah,
So
love it.
we kind of were talking off air a little bit before, and we started hitting on this kind of topic, and I thought, Nate, let's kind of spin off of this topic and go from there. And he's like, you know what, that's a great idea. So here we are. So
There you
tell
go.
me about your team, Nate. How do you build the team that you work, or just tell me what kind of team you have in the first place?
Well, so my two biggest referral relationships are with what's called Hartford Healthcare PT, which is, of course, a big hospital medical group in town. And they've been very good to me in my practice over the years. And the gentleman that heads that up, his name's Michael, and we've developed a beautiful relationship over the years. And the other big relationship I have is with a independently owned, I guess you'd call it like a personal training gym, like a one-on-one personal training and small group exercise gym. And it's headed up by these guys. Shout out to them, Conquer Fitness. And it's headed up by these guys that just have really, really strong backgrounds, kind of above and beyond your weekend personal training course and, exercise physiology, PTs. And so it's been a good source for me because a lot of our clients, my clients that come and see me with knee problems, low back problems, neck problems, they want to work out. And of course, most people they get that fear-based thing going on. They're scared to work out because they're scared they're going to get hurt or somebody's going to hurt them. And so having a group of trainers with a knowledge base like you and I and coming at it from the exercise end has just been huge. So they've been my other big, big one. How about you?
Well, I thought of something. Why is it that we have referrals? And I think there's two main reasons for that. I'm just going to talk through this. You get referrals so that you can get busy, or you get referrals because you want to help people. And I think, I don't know that one is bad, um, but I can tell you I pick people to refer to because I want to help people. Like, hey, I think you should go see this chiropractor over this chiropractor because I know who they are and I know they could probably help you better than, not just to get, I'm not looking to line my pockets with money.
Right.
I'm looking to help people. And the money, if you're helping people, the money is just gonna, it will show up.
Absolutely. There's been instances over the years where somebody's walked in as a new client and all the red flags are going off. Like, you need a hip replacement. This looks and smells like I have severely osteoarthritic hip. I don't think I'm going to be able to help you, get the ball rolling. And by the way, either for your pre or post, rehab, here's the PT that I want you to go to. And it's interesting because I agree with you fully. The first intent is to help people. And, you, me, right, can safely say my practice is busy enough. I'm not necessarily looking for people, but it's interesting that those people that I didn't even put my hands on they've been the ones that have referred people to me that said, just out of that trust. And I've had people call me and be like, so and so referred me. And in my head, I'm thinking, I didn't even put my hands on them, but they just felt like a good connection. So back to that whole listening and trust, and they felt helped in some sort of way.
Yeah, it definitely, in the question we asked, it takes a team. It takes a team to work on people. I don't think anyone can just expect to go to one person and have all of their issues addressed. I mean, I've seen and heard people like, "Oh, I'm going to make this, center that will take care of all of people's issues, and we're going to have PTs, we're going to have chiros, we're going to have this, and we're going to have that. It's going to be an all-in-one stop shop place." And I very rarely have seen that been able to work. I don't know why they don't work, but I haven't seen them work.
Well, and at the end of the day, too, Ben, it's hard because not anymore, but And I'd like you to talk about this too, but I think for a while I felt this odd pressure from watching a lot of my colleagues get their personal training certification and get this certification and that certification. And in my head, I'm like, how much can you really do, right? We said it a million times, right? We have the luxury of about an hour with people. Let's just call it an average of an hour. There's a lot to do in that hour. And I've always thought, man, overwhelming the client with like manual therapies, exercise, and then whatever else, like how much can you and I really do? And I really backed off. I mean, like everybody else, you give your clients one or two things to do after a session, but I don't try to replace my PT or my real life personal training friends at all. I do what I do best, right? Which is manual therapies. And then, like you said, have that good team where, hey, I think you need to go do this. I think you need to get stronger or whatever. And I want you to also go see this person while I'm working on
Yeah, so what is the best way to build a team? I think that was part of the question is, how do you build your team and how do you utilize those people?
Well, I guess in some ways, it's a trial and error, right? Like, you try somebody else, right? Personal experience. I have a fantastic chiropractor that I've been seeing for probably a little over 10 years now. So just right personal experience. Hey, I've been going to this guy for over 11 years. I always say he's the only one that I trust to work on me. And so there's that aspect of it. It's interesting. The PT thing, the physical therapist that I mentioned up the street in that more of a big group setting, that was more reputation. We just happen to have mutual clients like, oh yeah, I'm working with this guy Mike up the street, and he's helped me so much. And then my clients go to them, and oh, I'm working with this guy Nate, and he's helped me so much. And then it becomes more of a word of mouth type of referral, right? That you all of a sudden you have more than five clients that are saying their name or saying your name. And same thing with the group training place. It just became a I we just happened to have mutual clients, and people were just speaking highly of everybody. And that's how I started it. I've had epic fail referrals too. Right? So what have been some of your epic fail referrals?
Oh man, I usually get word of mouth before send people certain places. So really, I don't know that I've had any failures that I can think of.
Yeah, well, luckily I haven't had anyone in a while because like everything else, we get better. Like, you learn the game as you go on. But I certainly early on, hey, I want you to go see this person up the street. I won't name the profession or anything like that, but they came back and, well, that was the worst experience of my life. And you're like, oh man. But, when I think back on those epic fail referrals, there wasn't a big relationship there. It was just me trying to blindly get one going.
That's what I was gonna that's what I was gonna hint at is, I'm gonna pick PTs because typically you have an issue and maybe you have you know, a prescription to go to PT from a doctor. But what if you don't have any issues? How do you create those relationships other than just, oh, I heard such and so is good over at such and such place.
Yeah, that's a hard one, right? That's a hard one that if you don't have a relationship, then what are you gonna do?
Yeah, well, I can tell you what I have done in the past, and I'm still doing it to this day. I hear of someone who is good, or we have a mutual patient, and I'll just ask somebody, I'm like, hey, do you mind if I reach out to your chiropractor or reach out to your PT and just kind of, usually I'll send an email and say, hey, we're both working on so and so. and I'd like to know, your thoughts. What can I do to help your work, um, help you do better work, in between visits, whatnot. Um, so that helps kind of create a relationship through digital means. And then I also reach out and ask, I've done this with a couple of chiropractors, say, hey, can I come hang out with you for like whatever, a couple hours and just, get a feel for how you work. And you can, I kind of put it in the context of I want to learn from you because of course I want to learn. And I'm not there to tell them anything. And when someone, I think when you present someone that they can share their knowledge, they're willing to give you that opportunity. So I've done that a couple of times, and that has definitely. I get to see how the person works, and I know, hey, if I have this issue with someone, I feel comfortable referring them over to these places.
And it can be hard finding that too, man, because you get a lot of professionals that are, maybe, right, maybe their ego's too big. Maybe they're all of a sudden like, hey, what's this person's alternate intentions? Right. So the people that say yes and are just totally like into it, those are always my favorite people. And those are the relationships that are gonna go the best.
Yeah, I would say, more often than not, I get responses from other professionals. So probably 60% of the time, sometimes I'll send out a message and I won't ever get a response, which is fine. They're busy or they forget. But
Sure.
more often than not, if I get a response, I know that those are the people that are wanting to help rather than just trying to make a quick buck because they're taking the time to, share what they know. And I think that's valuable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm with you, man. I don't expect anything in return. The gym that I work closely with, it took me this sounds ridiculous. It took me a couple years to actually like meet the owner in person and get like place a face to him. And that's a good thing. They're busy, I'm busy, is what it is. And I finally
Yeah,
have
at
great.
some point you have to decide, am I going to make it a priority? And so,
Right.
I don't go out and hang out with these chiropractors every week, but um, maybe once every 6 months, once a year, something like that, I will
Totally.
set aside a day and I'll be like, I'll make it work, can we do this? And yeah, they're all about it. So it's been good. It's been good that way, but making it a priority, like, you know,
Definitely. Yeah,
investing in
like
yourself, basically.
100%. I finally met the owner. We've been having I've been referring, people to him and he said, he was cool. He's like, you send so many people over here. And he's like, I don't really know how to send people to you. And I'm like, you don't have to. Like, I don't want anybody. I'm not looking for this to, like you said, line my pockets or have other intentions. It's just, hey, I trust you guys. And it's great to have a place in town, that my clients can go and feel good about themselves.
Yeah. What about referring to other massage therapists?
Well, I do that once in a while too, because at the end, I have another massage therapist in my office, and she's fantastic, and she does great work. I don't even know. I hate to use this word because I don't think any work's really traditional, but she would do more traditional head to toe, work. And and when people say to me, of course, one of my favorite lines, I think I need to get a massage too after seeing me. And I do the dog cock my head thing. But and at this point, I hear where they're coming at because they're beyond happy with what happened, and in their mind, they need this other thing. So it's like perfect. I always say, well, perfect. I have Tara right across the hallway from me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have another massage therapist in another town that's been referring her clients to me that she can't help out. And I've had a couple massage therapists do that. And to me, that's That's mind blowing, man, because I think that takes a really big person and a true pro to like all everything that we're talking about, your ego's out the window. You're not looking about a reciprocal relationship. You're not looking for anything out of it other than I want to help this person. And I think for another massage therapist to look at their clients and say, I can't help you with this low back issue, but give Nate a call. And that's probably been a source that's blown my mind, and tells me that that person, those couple therapists doing that are completely upstanding therapists.
Yeah, you think about how much the public, the massage going public has been educated about the industry over the last 20 years. I mean, you get people, calling me and asking me, do you do, I don't know, lymph drainage? Do you do myofascial release? Do you do this? Do you do that? And, there's so many different approaches that we have. Um, and I think about what if we applied that to a different profession like a plumber. I don't know very much about plumbers. Like if I have a backed up sink, I'm just going to call a plumber. I don't know that there's a plumber that
Right.
specializes in sinks, or I'm sure there are, but and so
Yeah.
why is it that people, I don't know more about the massage industry than, an industry like plumbing or something similar, electrical work.
Yeah. I don't know about that either, Ben. And I get the rare phone call. I get the rare phone call that I had a guy, I mean, talk about totally going deep. But I had a guy call me about, I think I told you this on the last podcast, literally on the message. I'm in Connecticut, calls me up. I'm looking for a therapist that does Paul St. John neuromuscular therapy.
Specific.
I, specific as it gets. And I mean, I can't comment on Paul St. John neuromuscular therapy. It's a course that I never took. It's only a name that I've heard perpetuated in my, as a massage therapist for 20 years ago. I don't even know if those classes still take place. I couldn't even tell you if Paul St. John is still teaching a library. I have no idea. I have no idea. But this guy dove deep, and I called him back. And one of the things that I like that he said to me, he goes, therapists will tell me they do this work, and I go and they don't do this work. And I said, well, I'm not gonna sell you anything. I said, I don't do Paul St. John's, work. And he was cool. He was like, I appreciate you telling me that and being honest with me. And I've had people call. I had a call this week. My knee swelling, do you do lymphatic massage, right? And I don't do that. So, and I don't even want to attempt to pull the wool over anybody's eyes with that. But those are real specific phone calls. But back to the majority of my phone calls, I have low back pain. I need some help. So it is pretty rare that I do get that sort of uh, specialty work, but it comes up once in a while. It's like pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, and therefore I think everyone kind of knows what they specialize in. Maybe that's not the right word. I do the work that I like to do, and I think word gets around like, hey, Ben's going to help you with your low back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, that kind of stuff, versus
Well,
Ben is going to help you relax and put cucumbers over your eyes, that kind of thing.
for sure. And being like you and myself, and by the way, I'm going to just give a little cheap advertisement here. So it's Master Myoskeletal Therapist Month. And for those of you listening, if you notice on Facebook, everyone's changing their profile picture, and we're kind of celebrating the fact that since Eric has put this MMT program into place 2017-18, that we now have like 300 MMTs worldwide, which is pretty cool because it's a really big undertaking, and so it's just nice to see how that program's slowly growing. But anyway, the point of this is that Eric, who is now no longer with us, as we know, has put out some of the most YouTube content, Instagram content, probably compared to most any other educators that I've seen, and has this pretty cool directory on our website. Find a mastermind skeletal therapist. And I do get phone calls from that. I say this in my classes, but I don't think people believe me that when I say that, but I get phone calls a couple times a month. Hey, I had coccyx pain, and I YouTubed it, and this video of this guy came up, and I went on his website, and I found that you were, within an hour or two, and I really need some help. So there's an aspect of somebody found me because I specialize in something, you know. I'm hesitating on bringing this up, but I think I'm going to do it. Here
Do
we
it.
go. Do it, do it. I'm going to omit names for this though. But I'm also listed on another website, practitioner's website, right, for completing their coursework. And I'm going to omit some things here. So this practitioner teaches a particular type of techniques that seem to pull people out of complicated conditions very quickly. And with that being said, then you get the real life person that calls me with one of these severe issues, expecting that they saw this on whatever. And of course, I don't get those results, and nobody really does in real life. And that's the one that I don't it took me a while to learn, Ben, but when those people call me and say, I saw you on this website and I have this X, Y, and Z condition, I turn them down because I'm honest with them. I say the reality is, without even seeing you, this could take a while. And it's not a 30-second treatment.
Yeah, people want a quick fix, and who doesn't want a quick fix? But yeah, if
Yeah.
anyone who has been doing body work for any amount of time knows, ugh, if you can fix someone in one session, that's
Ben, and
really
I've fallen on my face a couple times because at first, listen, at the end of the day, we talk a lot of education here, but we're real people too, and sometimes you just want to fill that blind spot and make a couple bucks or whatever. And it took me a while to really say no to these people because they come in and they have this complicated condition, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you were on this website. I saw the video, and I saw that this could be accomplished, and of course I can't do it." So they leave thinking that I don't have the magical powers. And ugh, that's like a bummer. So I've learned to just say no.
yeah. Why is it that there are certain approaches, certain workshops, certain educators that teach this way that you know, I've been to them and they call for a volunteer who's got shoulder pain, who's got low back pain, and then they work on them for 30 seconds and miraculously they're better. Which and it's just
Yeah.
everybody in the class, their eyes are just big. They're like, oh my god, this is amazing. I can't Here, take my money. I want to invest in all of your books, all of your DVDs. Like, I need to learn this. And I'm gonna share with you, I've been doing some research for a class that I'm gonna be teaching here in a month or so, but I came across a paper written by a psychologist. His name's Carl Rogers. He wrote it in 1957. Walt Fritz is the one that got me onto this particular piece of research. But basically, he said, so this is in the context of psychology, but we kind of morph it and make it work for lots of different things. But he said, it doesn't necessarily matter the approach or the modality that we use. What seems to be more important is the connection we have with people, and how, that therapeutic alliance, I guess, is the name that gets thrown around a lot. And we talk about this all the time in our podcast. But I came
Sure.
across that piece of research, or that paper, I guess it's not research. It just reminds me, like, if we're chasing modalities, like, is that really what we need to do versus just be a good person, be honest, be, be thorough, be confident and competent in what you do, and the results will, they'll come.
They will come, man, but you also have to, you do still have to know your instrument. You have to know how to play it. And because having a lot of knowledge and having all those things, and I know that we talk about this all the time, and but at the same time, you have to know how to put your hands on the bass and play it because you can easily also get called out on your stuff, right?
Yeah,
And still show your weak points. I still take bass lessons, by the way, and today my just want to point out right behind, this is not a fake background, by the way. That
sweet.
beautiful instrument behind you is about 200 years old, Ben.
Whoa.
It was made in, well, we originally thought it was made in Czechoslovakia when we bought it. My parents bought it for me over 33 years ago. And anyway, it's a 200-year-old instrument that we originally thought was made in Czechoslovakia, but my current luthier deeply believes it was made in Germany. But anyway, I still take bass lessons even though I'm no longer playing professionally. And the other night, so I do them through FaceTime. And my bass teacher, who's originally from Maryland, he's lives in Mexico now with his wife, which is super cool. So we do these FaceTime lessons every other week. And Anthony, my bass teacher, he's a great guy. He's a masterful educator in the music world, probably one of the best educators and player. So he has the best of both worlds. Not only is he an amazing teacher, but he's a top tier player. Sometimes you have really great teachers, and this, by the way, everything I'm saying applies to our fields. You have a lot of great teachers that aren't even in the treatment room seeing clients, and we talked about this, right? And then you have like these masterful technicians who may not be able to describe what they're doing and have minimal knowledge of whatever. So Anthony put me through my paces last week because I've been taking lessons with him for 8 months. So Anthony was like, "Man, I want to see if you've really been practicing." Right, and starts putting me through the paces and asking me questions and having me play through everything. And luckily, right, because I've been doing both, I was able to nail the knowledge aspect as well as the technical capabilities, right? So because I've been working at it, right, I've been practicing. So I think that's back to us, Ben, right? So the having that therapeutic alignments, which accompany or encompasses listening, that relationship, the trust, so on and so forth. But as much as the pain signs, people still want to talk about that, man. You still got to know how to put your hands on people. You still have to know where your hands are. And I think you still know how to apply a technique at the end of the
Yeah, being able to know the anatomy, the physiology, the kinesiology, everything, all the ologies, as I call it. Um,
day.
and
Massageology.
yeah, and here's the thing that got me for a long time is like I need to know it all.
Yeah,
And I would just, just diving into books and doing all this stuff, and it takes me a little bit longer to learn. I'm a little slower at learning things. So I have to really dive in, and it has to process and it has to soak in, and then I have to go back and review it. And maybe that's how everybody learns. But I had to take a look at everything and take a step back and go, you know what? You you do the best with what you know now. Because I'm always looking like, oh, if I only knew this much more, if I only knew this much more. You do the best with what you know now. When you know more, you do more.
yeah,
And so that has helped me a lot in my quest for getting better. Because we all want to get better, right? Well, people that want to help
for sure, for
ideally
sure.
want to get better, and so that's, I don't know, that I get lost in that a lot of times. How do I get better? Not just massage, but how do I get better as a photographer? How do I get better as a husband? How do I get better? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, we have to, and it's cool, especially as massage therapists, right? And I know we took a left turn at Albuquerque here, but I love seeing your photography on Facebook, and I don't put my music stuff on Facebook, but it's also good to learn and keep our brains ticking outside of the massage world because I also I believe that, you taking photography and being a better photographer, I bet you that translates back to the massage room somehow. I guarantee it does. You may not know how it does, but I guarantee it does.
There are so many similarities that I didn't think I would find. One recently that I've come across, there was a photographer. He said, if I knew how to take the perfect picture every time, I would. Like, why would I
Right.
mess around with taking pictures that I'm going to ultimately delete or get rid of? And so, same thing in the massage room. If I knew how to work on you to make you better right now, I would. Why would I
Right.
waste my time? So
Yeah,
there are similarities in the two professions, and I didn't think I would
definitely.
find the similarities that I have.
Yeah, and that's why I love continuing my music studies because everything I learned with Anthony, and he's a really philosophical guy, so I take a lot of his philosophies back into the education world, you know, and I love it. But listen, let's get back into Albuquerque here for a minute after taking that left turn, and the old Bugs Bunny, right?
Oh yeah.
Where's Pismo Beach? Anyway, um, so referrals. Let's sum it up here, Ben.
Yeah, what would you say is your big takeaway that we talked about from building that team, and how have those relationships benefited you?
Yeah, I think, man, do it for the love of your client. Don't have alternate intentions because I think those alternate intentions of thinking that that's going to build your practice, because that stuff comes over time anyway. You have to let those relationships build. If that is your intention, you got to give it time anyway. So have your first intention be about your client and getting them the help that they need, because man, that stuff always comes back to you. It will come back to you, and know the person that you're referring to, right? Go hang out with them. Go experience what they do, whatever they're doing. Go experience it yourself. Those are my takeaways. How about you?
Yeah, I kind of along those same lines, you made me, as you were talking, you made me think about with any business they talk about investing 60% into advertising, which doesn't mean 60% of your money. It could be money, time, that kind of thing. So make it in a point to invest some of your time into some of these relationships that you have with referrals, because I think there's no there's no substitute for face to face. Whether that means FaceTime or starting the conversation over email. It's like, hey, let's get together, and whether at your office or get together for coffee. But you get to know the person behind the work, and get to, just because, they might wear lime green shoes doesn't mean it's a deal breaker. But you may learn something about these people, and now that I know some of these referrals, I get some of my clients come in and they're like, oh, so and so, they like to do this, and so I get to know them on a more personal level, and I think that helps with that relationship with your clients too. So that was kind of a roundabout long way to say, take the time to invest in your business and your clients.
Absolutely. So listen, we want to hear from you. So when we post this, comment on our Facebook page. What referral relationships are working for you and with you? So we want to hear from you guys. And with that being said, Ben, you've been crushing it on posting questions the last few weeks while I've been traveling. So what do we want people to do with those questions?
Hey, check out those questions, read them, think about them, leave your comments, leave your 2 cents, because we want to know, are you reading our Facebook page? And what do you think about our questions? We love feedback. We love to hear from you guys, because this show doesn't work without you guys. I mean, it's more fun when we have other people interacting with us. So, Ben and Nate's questions that we ask people on the internet. You can find us on Facebook. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Where else are we?
Ben, I think we're everywhere.
Yeah,
I think we're absolutely everywhere.
Peru, I heard.
Peru. And listen, you can listen to us today while you're shoveling snow if you live in the New England area.
Right on.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.